Greetings and salutations, loyal viewers of this channel. My name is Sean, and we are one day removed from Election Day, and guess what? The evil orange man has won a second non-consecutive term. He is now officially the 45th and 47th president of the United States, even though he's president-elect, but assuming he makes it to Inauguration Day and ends up getting sworn in, the evil orange man has secured his victory, and it is in a commanding way. As of right now, he is leading the popular vote. That is something that he is expected to hold. He is up in each and every swing state, all 7 of them, and he has overperformed in other states that I find to be quite notable, and it looks like the Kamala coup, the forcing Biden off the ticket, the media propaganda train trying to pretend that she was the second coming of Obama was just as fraudulent as I told you repeatedly on this channel, because all of that support evaporated. It disappeared because guess what? It never existed. So Orange Man wins. Congratulations to the evil orange man, and that's what we're going to talk about today. But before we do, I want to thank everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money, okay?
This can't be real. This can't be real.
It's real, guys. It's real.
I'm sorry to all my friends who are Trump supporters. But y'all don't understand how scared of this man I am. And I don't say a word to y'all because I try to keep politics out of my friendships because I don't want my beliefs and your beliefs to mess up our friendship because that's something different. This man scares the shit out of me and now he's fucking president. Oh my god.
So as of right now, President Trump stands, according to the Associated Press, at 277 electoral votes. Now, obviously, this should be 280 electoral votes. For whatever reason, they have refused to call Alaska, which would make it 280 because they have 3. But the states that are on the board right now, according to the AP, at the time I'm recording this video, are Wisconsin, where Trump has a 1-point lead with 98% of the votes in. Again, they should probably call that one. And then we have Arizona and Nevada, and those still have votes coming in, so we will see the final results right there. So for those of you who bet money on Trump winning all of the swing states, congratulations to you, because it looks like it's still possible.
I'm sorry! No! Why? Why? Do you really hate me that bad?
Now, to say that the left is taking this poorly is the understatement of the century. Now, I actually told you guys throughout the course of this cycle that it is possible, and you still have to go out and vote if you want the evil orange man to win, that the polls could be compensating for missing Trump in the previous 2 cycles. It appears that is not the case. The polls were actually pretty accurate, except for a couple of outlier polls. And the thing is about those outlier polls, if you follow me on Twitter, you'll realize that they should have never been taken seriously in the first place. Consistently, the polls that showed Kamala Harris winning would show absurd other things that were red flags about who they were sampling. First and foremost, their number one issue would not be the economy, which is the number one issue. It would not be immigration. It wouldn't even be abortion. It would be defending democracy. They would also say absurd things like over half of the voters approve of Joseph R. Biden's job performance as president of the United States. That was what was true in a New Hampshire poll that dropped. The whole thing about defending democracy was true in that Iowa poll, the Ann Seltzer poll, that people were going absolutely crazy about, predicting the Kamala landslide. But facts are facts, reality is reality, and there was no chance that Iowa was ever going to flip. But to give you an idea of how bad Kamala Harris was doing, I want to show you this map from Nomiki Konst because it made me laugh. It should make all of you laugh because it's absolutely horrible.
Let's show my map. Can we do that? All right. I know you guys are like, you're what? Wait,
Are you insane?
Let me explain.
Oh my God.
Hear me out. Okay. Again, I made this map 4 minutes before the show, so I had to very quickly put this together. But there's a bunch of stuff happening. I've been predicting a landslide for at least 3 weeks now. Hear me out. All right. Okay. So First off, 2016, Donald Trump has a smaller coalition than 2020 and 2016. 2016 was his biggest coalition. He had a lot more older voters at that time. Since then, it's been 8 years. Several folks, older voters, have unfortunately died. Also, COVID deaths. So let's just start with age, right? She is doing far better than any other Democrat since 2000, as I've said before, with older voters. R plus 13 average, Republican plus 13 for those voters over 50. And she is winning with them, especially with women, but also with men.
I agree with you it's going to come down to Pennsylvania and that she could win Pennsylvania. That is my prediction. But you have her winning Texas and Florida?
Yeah. Puerto Rican vote.
Okay. I will wear a White Dudes for Harris t-shirt on this show.
Texas was already
if
kind
she
of
wins Texas and Florida. There is no way on God's green earth that's going to happen. That is insane.
Now look, if you follow me at IamSean90 on Twitter, you guys know that I have been trolling the internet with these fake maps from 270 to win because I wanted to demonstrate to everybody out there that follows me on Twitter that any idiot can make these maps. However, in my efforts to troll people, I would do a bunch of different tricky tricks where I would flip states that were similar shapes that were close to each other. I would try to balance out the electoral votes in order to make sure that you guys didn't notice. But Nomiki Konst actually put Texas and Florida going blue, which is absurd on two different levels. First and foremost, go look at DeSantis' gubernatorial election and realize that Florida is officially a red state. He won Miami-Dade County. Trump lost that in 2020. And guess what? This time around, Trump actually won Miami-Dade County. That flip is real. It is consistent. It is powerful. And yes, it is what turned Florida red. Also, credit where credit is due to the state of Florida for having results rapidly, right on time, exactly as it should be, considering the controversy surrounding them back in the year 2000. This was a great fix, so credit where credit is due. But what makes Nomiki Konst's map actually having Florida and Texas go blue so bad and so awful is that New York State was closer to flipping red than either Texas or Florida were closer to flipping blue. In Texas, we had a 14-point spread for Trump over Kamala Harris in that great state. In Florida, we had a 13-point spread, a commanding victory for the evil orange man over Harris. But in New York, Kamala Harris, as of right now, according to the New York Times, is only up 12. So again, it's marginal. There's still 3% of the vote to come in, but the facts are what they are. And as of right now, as of this moment, Trump is doing better in New York than Kamala did in either Florida or Texas. Again, at the time of me recording this video. Absolutely amazing that somebody would actually put this map out there with a straight face. But then again, that's how deluded they were about Kamala Harris.
What is wrong with you? I can't do this anymore. I'm literally sick. I'm literally sick to my stomach. What has happened to America? What has happened to democracy? What has happened to freedom? I'm done. This is a message to anyone who follows me. If you voted for Trump, unfollow me and block me. If you didn't vote, unfollow me and block me. The fact that it's this close means I've lost all hope in the American people. Like, it should not be this close. Why would anyone vote for this person? He's so evil. He's so demented. Kamala's not perfect. We all know that. We all know that. She is not a convicted felon, rapist, crazy, fascist, dictator, psycho.
Now, there are a couple of devastating indicators of how well Trump did throughout the course of the night. Two of them related to Latinos that I want to share with you guys out there in the audience, because I think it's absolutely crucial for you to understand what happened, the monumental shift that went against Kamala Harris. Now, first and foremost, you have the state of Michigan. Trump, according to exit polls, won Latinos 60 to 35%. This is significant for a number of reasons, because we talked about Florida and Florida going more red, and the Latinos are a big part of that. But let's be perfectly honest. Cubans were always a bit more conservative than your average Latino. In Michigan, they don't have a huge Cuban presence by comparison to Miami. So these are other types of Latinos flipping in favor of Trump in huge numbers. In addition to that, we have Starr County in the state of Texas. This is the highest Latino county in the entire country. 97.6% of this population is Latino, and Trump won this county. Again, he lost it overwhelmingly to Hillary Clinton. He gained ground significantly against Joe Biden, but now he has officially won this county that is nearly 100% Latino, and by the way, has been a Democratic county since 1892. Devastating flip in terms of the Latinos, despite all the gassing up about a comedian's jokes about the island of Puerto Rico being part of the Democrats' main strategy. Another devastating video from CNN is this clip right here.
So you asked, are there any places that the vice president is overperforming Joe Biden in 2020? So we could show you that as well. We just bring that out here. Harris overperforming in 2020.
Holy smokes.
There you go. So let this go away and see if there's anything on the east side there.
Literally nothing?
Literally nothing.
Literally not one county?
This shows that Kamala Harris underperformed Joe Biden everywhere, across the country. No counties at the time that they were looking at this election map, she was doing better than in terms of turnout. It's crazy. It's amazing. It's ridiculous, but not surprising because Kamala Harris didn't even make it to Iowa in the Democratic primary in 2020. She stole the nomination from Joe Biden and nobody actually liked her. Now look, another example of Democratic delusion related to Kamala Harris was Emma Vigeland, one of our favorites over here on this channel, tweeting about how Kamala Harris was the hottest president or will be the hottest president that we ever have. Quote, she will be our hottest president ever. And yes, I'm counting Obama and JFK. And then she has a reply to her own tweet saying, ridiculous, she's 60. Again, this is the attitude that was being carried into election day by the overprivileged, white-guilted media elites like Emma Vigeland, somebody who's the child of campaign bundlers, U.S. attorneys who went to a $40,000 a year private elementary school, is talking about how Kamala is just the hottest thing ever. This is what they think about. This is the worship that they have for the Democrats, all while pretending to be that they're way further to the left than the Democrats. But when it comes to voting time, the propaganda machine comes out very strong. Now, of course, Kamala Harris, horrible candidate. We went over this time and time again, and I think one of my most prophetic videos in relation to this election has to be my debate coverage, where I talked about how Kamala Harris didn't do a good job in that debate. Not because Trump was this stellar debater or anything like that, but because the American people said over and over again going into that debate, they needed to know more about Kamala, and she had no moment, no highlight. There is no clip that Democrats use from that debate in order to promote her, which just proves that she did not actually win, in that she didn't do what she needed to do in that debate, and that's why she didn't get any bump in the polls from that debate, despite the fact that it had high viewership. And for Kamala Harris, they needed a big moment in this debate, and I will wait for anybody to produce the viral clip of Kamala absolutely destroying Trump from said debate. Waiting on it because it doesn't exist. And again, don't take my word for it. Think about all the complaining that the Harris campaign did in the lead up to this debate about the rules, about the muted mics, all the leaked information about how her plan was to have a I'm speaking girl boss type of moment, and that moment wasn't present throughout the whole course of this conversation. And since Kamala had been dropping in the polls, and one of the reasons why she's dropping in the polls is because undecided voters feel like they don't know anything about her, the other thing that she could have achieved was actually giving the American people a good look on what she stands for, what she's going to do, and she did not deliver in that regard. I mean, from the opening answer, she immediately was talking nonsense. But again, every single Democratic elite in the media told you that Trump was over after that debate. They told you that she got killed. A bunch of Republicans were very bullish on Trump post that debate, but I came out the very next day, told you how I thought people were going to react to it, told you why I thought Kamala failed, which was not necessarily because the evil orange man won, but because Kamala had a mission and she didn't complete it, and what ultimately ended up proving to be true. Now here's the crazy thing. Trump is probably going to walk away with the popular vote, a larger electoral college victory than he had in 2016, and I don't even think he ran a great campaign. I think that circumstances ended up aiding his victory. The fact that on the day that I was wed, he ended up getting shot by a would-be assassin had he not tilted his head slightly out of the way of that gunshot, and then he gets up and yells, "Fight, fight, fight," I think really helped him politically. Obviously, it knocked Joe Biden out of the race, and ended up serving up Kamala Harris on a silver platter, which the media try to gaslight you into thinking was a better option. You also had all of these Trump cases, which are largely viewed by the American people as extraordinarily political and biased. Again, Letitia James campaigned on suing Trump into bankruptcy, and that's exactly what she did in the state of New York, and that case is currently under appeal.
I've taken on powerful interests like developers. I've taken on legislators. I've taken on landlords. I've taken on powerful interests in the city of New York because I believe in a good fight. And right now, what we need is someone who understands that you should not be afraid, not be fearful of Donald Trump. We should take him down. We should sue him all the way to bankruptcy. We should investigate his business interests. We should investigate his business holdings. We should investigate whether or not why he was once in debt and now in a position to purchase all of this property. We can do that because I've been trained to do that, and I will do that at the same time knowing the Office of Attorney General and its powers and its responsibilities and its duties. My name is Letitia James, and I plan on being the next Attorney General of the state of New York. God bless you and thank you.
Alvin Bragg also wanted to go after Trump, made it clear during the campaign, talked about how many times he sued them in order to win the Democratic primary, and guess what? His cases for paperwork that he suddenly upgraded to felonies for the first time in his entire life, he's ever upgraded charges when he consistently downgrades them, obviously ended up looking incredibly political. All of these cases, which were own goals by the Democrats, ended up aiding Trump's victory. They kept calling him a convicted felon. Well, guess what? A convicted felon that just weeks ago was working at McDonald's, took a job at sanitation, is now on his way to the White House. Good job, Democrats. But again, Kamala Harris, of all people, is the one who sunk this. They could have put anybody after they cooed Joe Biden up in this particular spot. But because Joe Biden had $30 million in his campaign war chest that he could only transfer to Kamala, they let that money and, of course, woke politics dictate who they inserted onto the ticket.
I can imagine what can be and be unburdened by what has been. You know? What can be unburdened by what has been. 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 What we can see, what we believe can be unburdened by what has been. What 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 can be unburdened by what has been. Who we can be unburdened by who we have been. What can be unburdened by what has been. Where we can be unburdened by where we have been and unburdened by where we are right now. What can be unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been.
So instead, you ended up with the American people deciding that they wanted to be unburdened by Kamala Harris because she is what has been. But also, they weren't buying her appeals to Black America and how much she loves collard greens.
That was me in my suit and heels walking through Charleston International Airport carrying 2 big plastic bags full of fresh South Carolina collard greens. It's a true story. And yes, as I walked on the plane, there were a few people who gave me the look and the nod.
Right, Marlon, so I know how to make a mean pot of greens. In fact, people used to ask me to make greens for them for Christmas. One year, I had so many that I had to wash that we ended up washing them in the bathtub. So I am not playing around. So what you got?
I mean, seriously, this was the cringiest, most embarrassing campaign ever, where she didn't give any answers, and in fact, the media and the Democratic Party repeated over and over again that you were not entitled to any answers on what she should do, you just need to shut up and vote for Kamala Harris. Well, how'd that work out for you? How'd that ultimately end up serving your campaign? But you know what? Maybe she could still be president of Wakanda.
The environment is vital. Killmonger may have ruined and burned your field of heart-shaped herbs, but don't worry. I'm from California. I can repopulate that field with a bunch of different herbs. To the lovely people of Wakanda, I know you will make the right choice. And as always, Wakanda forever. paid for by Kamala Harris.
Now look, I'm trying to throw all the different Kamala Harris clips that I possibly can at you guys because you know what? In a couple of days, my prophecy will come true. Kamala Harris was never popular. Let's be clear about that. There was never excitement about her. There was polls leading into the election that actually made the case that they had Obama levels of excitement for Kamala Harris, and that was never true. The left-wingers, they kept saying I was coping because I wanted to run against Joe Biden, but I have said consistently since 2019, Joe Biden is a harder candidate for somebody like Trump to beat, and that was proven to be true in 2020, and I believe that he would have been able to rally some of that white working class that Kamala just hemorrhaged better than Kamala Harris. Still, to this day.
Madam VP, I know you've been traveling across the country. What are you hearing?
Yeah, girl, I'm out here in these streets. But these extremists, as they say, they're not like us.
They not.
But more importantly, the Democrats, and this is the establishment, this is the base, this is every one of these absolute losers that you interact with on social media, never liked Kamala Harris. And the proof of that is that after she gives her concession speech, after she says it's over, you're never going to hear about her ever again. She's not going to be doing all these interviews. She's not going to be getting praised. She's not going to be palling around with the celebrities. She's going to disappear faster than that federal case against Trump after he takes office. It is over for her. Her political career is tarnished. And by the way, a bunch of different various Democrats are not upset about this. Joe Biden celebrating. He didn't like that they initiated a coup against him. And yes, I still can't wait for the campaign book that breaks down that whole process. We will go over that when that comes out. But Gretchen Whitmer is happy about this because she feels like she has a shot at 2028. Gavin Newsom, we did a whole video on how he was rooting against and working against Kamala Harris, is happy. Andy Beshear, Josh Shapiro, all these different various Democrats that actually wanted to go through the legitimate process of running in a primary were all secretly rooting against Kamala Harris, and they all hate Kamala Harris. Everybody knows she's absolutely horrible behind the scenes. That's why she has so much staff turnover. One of my favorite stories was a guy who was actually saying he was going to vote for Kamala Harris, had a son that worked for her as an intern, and the son told him that Kamala made everybody call her General when she came in to a room and look her directly in the eye and stand, because that's how much of an authoritarian she is. So the evil orange man has won. He has smoked Kamala Harris. He's embarrassed her. He's humiliated her. And one of the things that I find fitting is the fact that if you look at the vote totals, what you'll find out, and a lot of people are making a lot of hay of this, is that she returned back to normal Democratic levels. She went back in around 65 million votes, way off from Joe Biden's 81 million votes. And a lot of people say this is a crazy chart, but the craziest thing about this chart, in my opinion, is that it looks like it's going to work out that 14 million votes fewer is what Kamala is going to get as compared to Joe Biden. And this is because we didn't have the mass mail-ins and all that other stuff. Well, guess what? 14 million votes is the exact number of votes from the Democratic primary that they threw out in order to install Kamala. There is no more just outcome for the Biden team than this result. There is no more just outcome from the evil orange man team than this result. There is no more just outcome for those Democratic primary voters who chose Biden than this result. But you know what? Those are just my thoughts. I want to know what you guys think about all this down in the comments below. If you liked the video, show me by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on my social media, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about the evil orange man taking the W. Till next time.